Was this a living extraterrestrial or was it a jellyfish? Living extraterrestrial organism allegedly captured and studied in Portugal 62 years ago. Humans Are Free reports November 2nd, 1959, in the Portuguese city of Évora, was witnessed one of the strangest paranormal events. After the sighting of an alleged UFO, strange gelatinous filaments of white began to fall all over the city, completely covering it in a dense white layer. This is after the sighting of the UFO. Schools and jobs had been intervened in evacuating people completely. The armed forces and the scientists of the University of Lisbon chose to take a sample of this strange organism of Évora as a measure of security for the population. But due to the weak external structure of the same, this task was almost impossible. When the analysis accumulated, they argued that the strange white substance was nothing more than a unicellular organism of some sort. In other words, a kind of microbial life. But where did it come from? That's the question. The question is, where did it come from? Because in the laboratory analysis, it was observed that the organism showed strange and curious characteristics that were not present here on our Earth. This was foreign to anything found on Earth. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. And this, of course, is a close-up picture of what it looks like. Professor Joaquim Guedes do Amaral, director of the Industrial and Commercial School, is in his routine when his companions warn him that a strange object is flying over Évora. Joachim, despite having a clear sky and the totally visible object, decided to mount a telescope to see it more closely. After the first UFO, quote-unquote, half an hour later appears another that can be seen in detail by the telescope. UFO is described like something like a jellyfish. It also rippled alike, but it moved through the sky at great speed, stopping and resuming the march half an hour later. Obviously, this is translated from Portuguese, and the English doesn't make that much sense, but you can understand. Meanwhile, from the sky, the mysterious spiderwebs fell. During 4 hours, this phenomenon occurred. Children played with this material, so Joachim quickly ordered the children not to have contact with this mysterious material. As a witness of the Fatima Ernesto case, Joachim put to work both teachers and students to collect this material for analysis in the laboratory. Interestingly, Conceição de Silva, son of the friend of Joachim, Igueno e Silva, was doing aviation tests at the base of Sintra when they witnessed the same phenomenon that in the university, and these are verified by the military. Conceição years later to become a chief of staff of the Military Air Force of Portugal. Joachim went to see Conceição's father, Eugenio, who was his friend as well as a member of the Astronomical Society of France, analyzed the strange substance where these seemed to be a creature by putting the plates made something atypical for any microorganism on Earth, for no such thing has been found on Earth. This is something totally unique that was to oppose resistance to the crushing of the plates. Eugenio proposed that he make a report on everything that happened. Évora's microorganism was 4 millimeters thick and was made up of a nucleus with tentacles. This strange creature had defensive reactions to the plates for laboratory analysis at such a level that subsequent tests proved that it was resisting its tentacles against nothing else or anything less than 350 grams of pressure. Quote, initially observed, the preparation presented various colorations. The central body was yellow, egg color, while the tentacles showed a very intense red color. Over time, a clear alteration of the colors was observed, the contrast disappearing to give rise to a yellow-brown tone, which became more and more dark. The tentacles are formed of parallel filaments joined together by a gelatinous substance. Each filament or strand is transparent, revealing in its interior corpuscles whose number increase with time. These filaments, projected strongly on the sheet of glass, drew in it a perfectly defined line of contact where certain cultural formations appeared to emerge. In the middle of the central body is seen an opening in the form of a mouth, around which are observed finest drawings, corresponding perhaps to folds or fissures existing in the substance that composes it. You can also see dark and round spots that draw a pentagonal shape that became increasingly regular. The observations were made for about 2 years, at the end of which the tentacles and then the central body were disintegrating, progressively fraying. End quote. Several possible origins for the creature. The first is jellyfish larva, but it's not possible because it opposes resistance. The second is that it's a type of extramophile of the undiscovered atmosphere. Third, I quote, as many researchers and scientists have mentioned about the case, quote, strange, totally unknown of terrestrial biology, which can become the first detected evidence of extraterrestrial life. I'm sorry, I missed my, I'm sorry about this. So this is something totally new to them. Now the researchers say, such as Javier Sierra, Francisco Moral, Correa, coordinator of exopolitics in Portugal, and endless biologists and researchers of the UFO phenomenon, others have studied this case very closely. Persecution and finally the destruction of evidence. Professor Joaquim Amaral left the sample in the Faculty of Science of Lisbon. Many professors tried to undermine him, to break him, and to diminish him in his investigations. The dictatorial regime of Salazar prevented the news from this finding. There is a letter from some professors who sought to stop the publication of this report at all costs. In 1978, a fire in the Facility of Sciences in Lisbon ends with the tests of the microorganism of Evora. The focus of the flames was located by the firemen mysteriously very close to this microorganism. This fire destroyed all written reports and the microorganism as well. Now, star jelly, question mark? It's known that in the 14th century there was talk of a strange substance called jelly of stars, quote unquote, which today is described as a translucent or grayish white gelatin attributed to meteorites, which tends to evaporate shortly after a meteorite falls. But that in antiquity people assumed that it to the time in zeal of the deer. There is a Chilean researcher called Guillermo Aguilera who claims to have witnessed several times the strange events of this strange phenomenon. Quote, my experience with a strange element was several times in the city of Buenos Aires, but the best memory was in the neighborhood of Belgrano, near the center of the city approximately in 1972, where I could witness a real rain of these elements. I could take in my hands some. The sensation is of something with warm temperature, almost without weight, and if it stays where it was supposed, it does not disappear so fast, but if one manipulates it, it disappears. It does not produce the annoying sensation of the spider webs, end quote. So it's very common to relate these facts with sightings of extraterrestrial ships, not to mention the case of Evora, Portugal. One of the most impressive incidents occurred December 7, 1997, when the group Contacto OVNI, that is UFO Encounters of Colombia, met as usual in the area of Tabio on the hill of Eureka. And according to some members of the group, Raul Atencio, Edgar, William Chavez, Carlos, and Martha, about 11:45 p.m. began to drizzle. Quote, good things about the experience is that we felt the rain and did not get wet. It seems that what was falling was not water, but kind of energy in the form of cotton. At that moment appeared an object in the shape of a phosphorescent bluish tube at a height of 1,500 meters. That means it was very close to the ground over their heads. And the supposed rain continued for about 25 minutes. One of the many curious cases of which they inform, although not exempt of the doubt by the witnesses of the same one. The source is Infinity Explorers, and this is on Humans Are Free. So what do you think this was? This is something that scientists say was totally never ever found on Earth. Others in other countries, besides Portugal, believe that it comes around with celestial bodies entering our atmosphere. Thank you for your support, and please leave your comments. Thank you.